Hey guys, my name is Confident. Welcome to the 24-minute lesson excerpt where I will be sharing with you some ideas, some methods, some strategies or concepts that you can incorporate as you prepare for your final exams, be it you're studying for your mathematics N1, your N2 or your N3. Now, if these videos are handy and you are benefiting from them, you can actually press the like button, or if you've got some ideas, you can leave some comments below. If you also like to be notified of extra videos every time we post them, you can subscribe to our channel and then you'll get some notification every time there are new videos. And also, if you are interested in some of our resources, be it textbooks and some videos, you can check this at the end of this video. We will send you some information. Now let's check this concept out. Fractions are very interesting when it comes to mathematics N3 because I think from these you can actually get good marks. Look at this question from one of the previous papers. It says simplify the following, and you're given this fraction. It looks intimidating, but believe me, it is not as difficult as it might appear. Now let us look at how you can approach this question. The advice I always give my students is do not look at it as one thing, but take one part at a time, simplify it, and then later you'll pull everything together. So let us start by looking at the first one, which is that part. 3x squared minus 7x plus 2. So I'm supposed to simplify or factorize that part. So for me to be able to factorize this part, how do you factorize that part? I use the product sum method. You have to visit my previous lessons, my 24-minute lesson where I talk a lot about this product sum method. But basically what I'm doing is I'm multiplying that and that, which is 3x squared times 2. So my product, I call it my P. So my product is equal to 3 times 2. It is positive 6x squared, and then my sum is equal to, which is this particular number remaining. This becomes my sum. Sum means positive, so my sum in this case, it is equal to minus 7x. So my factors, I'm looking for factors of the product or factors of 6. And factors of 6 is 1 times 6. It is 2 times 3. So from these, I need to get a sum of minus 7. You can see that 2 and 3 will never give me a sum of 7. But 1 and 6, if I can say minus 1 minus 6, I will get minus 7. So therefore, my factors in this case, if I can, since I have identified them as 1 and 6, it is minus 1x and minus 6x. When I multiply minus 1 times minus 6, I'll get a positive 6x squared. And when I say minus 1x minus 6x, I'll get a sum of minus 7x. So having done that, I can then factorize further and say this is same as 3x squared. Now where there is minus 7x, I've got minus 1x minus 6x and then plus 2. So as I said, I'm just working faster because there is a lesson more on that. So now I take the first two and the last two. What's common in the first two? You can see that it is x. So x into 3x squared, it is 3x minus 1. Now, in the next one, I must also come with a bracket, which is 3x minus 1. So I'll take out minus 2, which is 3x minus 1. I just want to finish it all in this part. So then I will have 3x minus 1. And then I'll have x minus 2. So this is, as I was saying, this is the first part of simplifying the top. Now let us look at the other parts in this case. So the next one that I'm going to simplify, it is the denominator of this fraction, which is that one. Now for me to simplify that, I have again 2x squared, the product sum, minus 5x minus 3. So multiplying the first and the last is a product. So my product is 2 times 3, it's negative 6x squared. My sum is the center, which is that, which is minus 5x. Now the factors is the factors of 6, which is 1 times 6, which is 2 times 3. Now I need to get a negative 5 from these two factors when I add them, and I need to get a negative 6 when I multiply them. So if I'm to get a negative when I multiply, it means one must be negative and one must be positive. So again, I will rule out the second one, because the moment one is negative and the other one is positive, I'll get a 1 or minus 1. But these factors 1 and 6 are interesting. If I can take a calculator, remember I need to get a negative 5. So if I can say 1 minus 6, you can see that it's giving me already a negative 5. So which means 1 must be positive x and 6 must be negative x. So it's 1x and minus 6x. If I multiply 1 times minus 6, I'll get minus 6x squared. So these are my factors. I can therefore rewrite 2x squared. Where there is minus 5x, I have got a plus 1x and minus 6x. Those two factors I got minus 3. Then I take the first two and the last two, factorize it. What's common in the first two is x. X into x squared is 2x plus 1. And then the next one is minus 3, because I need to come up with minus 3 into that. It's 2x plus 1. Always make sure that the brackets that you're coming up with are the same. So I have got 2x plus 1, and I've got outside the bracket is x minus 3. So that is the second part. You can see, as I said, take it one step at a time, and it won't be as complicated as it looks. So I've done that. Then the next part is, in this case, the top one here. So what is that? It is x squared plus x minus 6. You are also going to do the same thing. There is a 1 there. You do the product and the sum, but this is actually much more simplified. So the product is 1 times 6. It is 6x squared. And then the sum is 1x. It is, let me correct that. I think I made an error here. It's 1x squared times minus 6. It's negative 6x squared. The signs are very important, and the sum is positive. You can see that it's positive x, which is positive 1x. You can put that positive sign there. The next thing is to look at the factors again. Is the factors of 6, which is 1 times 6. It is 2 times 3. So when I multiply, I must get a negative, and when I add, I must get a 1. So to get a negative, it means one of the answers of the factors must be negative, and when I add those two factors, I must get a 1. So between 1 and 6, I cannot add and get a 1. So this time it is off. It is 2 and 3 which can give me a positive 1. To get a positive 1, it means the bigger number, which is 3, must be positive and the 2 must be negative. So I can rewrite these factors as like that, which is positive 2x and negative 3x. If I multiply this, like just to show you, if I say 2 times negative 3, you can see that I get a negative 6. If I play back delete, I put a positive sign in between, you can see that I get a -1, so which means this one is wrong. So when I multiplied it, look at that, multiply, I get a -6, yes, but when I add, I get a -1, but I need a +1. So what you do is you interchange the signs, put a negative there. Now the 3, put a positive now. So -2 plus 3, you can see that now is a +1. Put a multiplication sign, is still a -6. Hence I chose those factors. When I have done that, I can then rewrite this as x squared in this case. Let me actually do it down here to say x squared. Now where there is plus x, I will have plus 2x minus 3x, those factors, minus 6. Take the first 2 and the last 2. X is common in the first one, it is x plus 2, and then minus 3, which is x plus 2. So I will have x plus 2 and I will have x minus 3. So this is what I have. What then is required of me to do is for me to pull everything that I was doing together and then get my final answer. So if I can do that, I can actually write my final answer once and for all. One thing I need to recognize again, there is a division sign there, and you know, with a division sign, what you need to do is the division sign, the bottom will go to the top and the top will go to the bottom after changing it to a multiplication sign. And actually I'm reminded of simplifying x squared minus 9. I think I'm forgetting it because it is if you know it, it is actually even more simplified. I can put it here, x squared minus 9 is same as x squared minus 3 squared. This is a difference of 2 squares at this stage. It's x minus 3 and x plus 3. Sorry for actually thinking that it was obvious, but it might not be as obvious. This is a difference of 2 squares as it is. So now if I can pull everything together, I will have, so I simplify it as equal to 3x, and then I had minus 1, and then I've got my x minus 2 all over, and then the other one, it gave me 2x plus 1, and then I had my x minus 3. Remember I said I'm changing a division to a multiplication, so it means I also take the top becomes the bottom, which means the bottom now becomes the top. It's x minus 3 is now going on top, x plus 3 all over. Now the one there which was on top, now it's x plus 2 and x minus 3. Basically this is what this was. You can then move on to cancel whatever is similar and so on. So you can see that some things are repeating. For example, x minus 3 cancels there. And what else do you have? Do you have any other things cancelling? You've got 3x minus 1, you've got x minus 3 even was cancelling there. You can actually have done this to say x minus 3 cancelled there, and this was x plus 2 in this case. Okay, let me check if ever actually I see now the error. Now let us correct this. Actually I did make an error in here because something doesn't make sense in the x minus 2x plus 2. Let me go back into this. I think there is an interchanging of signs that I made as an error here. Now look at this. If I check carefully, my factors, actually they are wrong. These factors were supposed to be the other way around. So where there is minus 3, it is supposed to be a plus 3, because I said you take the sign of the bigger number. So this is supposed to be plus and this is supposed to be minus. So because of that, I can go on and interchange here to say this was minus 2x plus 3x, and I can actually now correct everything because it will change everything, so that I will have like that. So x is common here, it is x minus 2 and then plus 3, it is x minus 2. So I have my x minus 2 and I've got my x plus 3. So that means I can further come here and correct everything to say this was times. If you still remember the top one, things don't change as they are. X minus 3 still remains like that, and x plus 3 still remains like that. But now there is the part where the error was. This is x minus 2 and x plus 3. See that? Now because of that, I can now cancel much better, because my question was these needs to cancel, and then my x minus 3 needs to cancel with x minus 3. The x plus 3 needs to cancel with x plus 3. So you can see how this was simplifying. This then is equal to 3x minus 1 over 2x plus 1. There is nothing else that was remaining, so this becomes therefore the answer. So now with this, I can, as I said, I always like testing my answer, so I can say let my x be equal to 5. For example, I take my calculator, I start with the first one. With the first one, where there is x, I'm going to put a 5. So I'm going to have my 3 to 5 squared minus 7 into 5. Where there is x, I'm putting a 5 plus 2 over 2 into 5 squared. You just choose any number of your choice. Minus 5 into 5 minus 3 divided by its fraction of 5 squared plus 5 minus 6, all right, over 5 squared minus 9, and my answer is 14 over 11. So I want to get the same answer in my final answer that I got, which is 3x minus 1 over 2x plus 1. So I'm going to try to see if it gives me that. So I'm going to say 3 into 5 minus 1. Remember it was 14 over 11 over 2 into 5 plus 1. What am I getting? I'm also getting 14 over 11. Therefore, it means this simplification then becomes much correct, and this then becomes the final answer. I hope this was of benefit to you. We have come to the end of this particular lesson. If you benefited from the lesson, remember to like our page, or you can subscribe to our channel. Thank you. I hope the video that you just watched was of benefit to you, and as I said, if you benefited from the video, you can press the like button, or you can leave us a comment below
And if you want to be notified of these videos, you can always subscribe to our channel. Now, if you want the full curriculum of this mathematics, if you're studying for mathematics N1, N2 or N3 and you want the textbook as well as the videos, we have a full curriculum of the mathematics N1, N2, N3 as well as the accompanying videos. We also have videos of the previous question papers, the latest papers that were written in video form. These question papers can assist you as you prepare for your exams. We also have PDF version of the previous question papers that were written since 2014 until now. And if you want them, you can check all the information from our website, and trust me, these will become very handy to you. We sell them at a very discounted prices, and it is worth the try. Thank you.